Welcome back to the Locker Room. I'm your host, Jake Homan. Here I am today with new special guests. We have Juliana Drecshel and Connor Lomis making their Locker Room debut. And we're more than glad to have you guys on the show.
Thank you.
Well, speaking of debuts, I want to get started off with Antonio Brown. He's not set to play on Sunday against the Miami Dolphins, but he is a new wide receiver for the New England Patriots. We know this because last Saturday, the 6th, he was released from the Oakland Raiders, and then only a short few hours later, the Patriots picked him up on I think a 1-year, $15 million contract. So that's what I want to ask you guys first. I'll start with you, Connor. What are your thoughts? Were you surprised at how quickly the Patriots signed him?
Honestly, Jake, no. I wasn't very surprised. I think that's a very Bill Belichick move. I think that AB actually had in mind what he wanted to do. I think he tortured the Raiders a bit just to get out of there.
You think he played all of us?
Yeah, I think he played the whole system, and he did it perfectly. And now he's down in, I guess up in New England. But I think that he's going to be fine. I really do.
And we know that Antonio Brown now has Josh Gordon and Julian Edelman, also receivers in the New England Patriots, which makes it very scary for the rest of the NFL because of those weapons Tom Brady has. It's worth talking about, though. Is this the new, even though we haven't seen him play yet, in a Patriots uniform, is this the new wide receiver trio in the NFL? Brown, Edelman, and Gordon?
I do believe that they are contenders to be the best wide receiver trio in the NFL. I mean, those three right there are amazing. But you also have to consider the Falcons and the Rams they both have three great receivers as well on both of their teams.
Right. Like, I'm saying going forward, is this Patriots offense going to be even better, you think?
I do believe that it'll make the Patriots offense even better. I feel like it puts them at a higher chance of making the Super Bowl, having home field advantage throughout the playoffs. This puts them at a really good position in the AFC.
I also wanted to ask you guys, too, do you think the Raiders are better off without AB?
I mean, they won, and I think they played against a decent Denver Broncos team. I don't necessarily think that the Broncos offense has come together as well. Yeah. And I think the Raiders were kind of on a mission to win that game without AB already. But I think going forward that they're going to find success. They're going to have receivers stepping up. But I think Josh Johnson's probably the best addition that they have that'll make them go, potentially into the playoffs. I'm not sold on him yet, but I think.
You mean Josh Jacobs or Josh?
Yeah, Josh Jacobs. Yeah.
Gotcha. I was pretty sure he retired.
Yeah, no, you nailed it. You nailed it. Yeah.
But what about you?
Honestly, I think that for the Raiders, Antonio Brown was toxic. I mean, he got all of those fines on there for a reason. It's not like they were unwarranted. And he went straight to social media and was extremely ridiculous in a lot of the situations. And I feel like without Antonio Brown, Gruden and the Oakland Raiders were able to excel a little bit better and not have to worry about dealing with his drama and his actions.
I completely agree. I think now this allows them to be even a more complete football team, especially due to Monday night. They did well against Denver, actually, with Josh Jacobs running the ball most of the time. He's mostly going to be the power horse for that offense going forward.
Absolutely.
Well, we know after 1 week of the NFL, I think it was a good first weekend for kickoff.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
But I wanted to ask you guys, what are your thoughts on any special performances by any particular team or specific players? Like, who stood out to you the most? I'll start with you, Juliana.
Take it away.
Yeah.
I honestly want to start out with the Cincinnati Bengals on this one.
Okay.
The Seahawks, playing in Seattle is one of the hardest things to do for a team. I mean, their stadium is insane to play in. And Andy Dalton and the Bengals, which they've been an awful team the past few years, bottom of the AFC North for a while now, and they were able to give the Seahawks a run for their money. Like, the Seahawks had to hold on. They were leading for most of the game, and Andy Dalton did outstanding. Mm-hmm. And for a while, it looked like he was going to be a little bit more washed up, but the new Bengals head coach really kind of seemed to have changed the Bengals offense and team as a whole.
Yeah, Seattle was actually the most favored team to win this past weekend, and they only ended up winning by like 1 point.
Yeah.
So it was a close one for that.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, and I agree with you there, and I also think that Joe Mixon going out early is a big problem in that loss too. But
they might have won, to be honest with you.
yeah,
if he didn't.
Seriously. I mean, I think he had like 2 carries the entire game, and not good for my fantasy team either. But no, I think Lamar Jackson this weekend played outstanding, and I think the Ravens as a whole played very well together. But I think his performance stood out to me the most because he's a running back, so now he wants to be a quarterback, and he literally said that to all the media and stuff, and I thought that was hilarious. But I think coming out and throwing 5 passing touchdowns off the bat and not running the ball that much really showed out for him. I think the Ravens are going to be great this year. I think that he's going to excel. I really do.
I can't agree with you more.
Yep.
I also want to say, though, I want to say the Minnesota Vikings were actually a team that I noted this weekend for 2 reasons. A, Kirk Cousins only threw the ball 10 times. That tells us one thing. The offense is most likely not going to be in Kirk's hand this year, even though he's the quarterback and it's the most important position for your team, obviously. Dalvin Cook had a heck of a game, and going forward, I think the offense will be ran through him. And they put up, I think, 4 touchdowns against Atlanta. I mean, they blew them out of the water pretty much.
Oh, yeah, they did.
For the first 3 quarters, they were winning that game. And I just don't feel that that's going to change. I think it's actually great for Minnesota going forward.
Right.
But any other players or teams?
No, but on the Vikings note, I totally agree. I feel like a lot of people were focusing on the Bears and the Packers in this offseason and in the preseason. They were saying how amazing the Bears were, especially after last season, and then the Packers under this new head coach, and the Vikings. Rough.
Yeah.
Well, last but not least, we're going to have our NFL picks for this coming Sunday. And so first, we have 2 1 p.m. Eastern games. Speaking of the Vikings, we'll start off with them. They are facing the Green Bay Packers on the road in Lambeau. I'll start with you, Connor. What's your take on that?
I'm going to have to go Vikings. I think the Packers underperformed last weekend. I just personally don't think Aaron Rodgers is playing like Aaron Rodgers right now. And I think their defense will carry, but I think the way Dalvin Cook is playing, I think that Kirk Cousins not throwing the ball a lot is a good thing.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to be fine. I'm going to go with the Vikings on this one.
All right. And what about you?
I'd have to agree with you on that. As a Vikings fan, I have to stick with my team. And I know that it's going to be a tough game in Lambeau. Being at Lambeau or being in that stadium is pretty tough already with all of the fans. But I do think that the Vikings defense being able to shut the Falcons out 28-0 up until the last 10 minutes of the game shows that against the Packers that they're going to be able to hold them off very well, because if a tough defense makes it pretty hard for Aaron Rodgers to play.
I agree. And I might as well just make it a round table, all Vikings here. I'm going to go with them as well.
There you go.
Like I said, mainly because I think Dalvin Cook is healthy this year, and this is probably going to be his best year he's had in the NFL since he's been there. And Kirk Cousins, I can rely on him, but also, like you said, the Vikings defense, they played well. Also, you can't count out Aaron Rodgers, though, so I won't expect this game to be like a blowout. It might be a close one because like I said, you can't count Aaron Rodgers out.
Right.
And that defense out in Green Bay actually looked pretty well this past Thursday night opener against Chicago, holding them to only 3 points. So secondly, our second game for 1 p.m. is the Seahawks in Pittsburgh playing the Steelers. Who you got?
During week 1, I feel like both teams underperformed as to their expectations, but being in Pittsburgh, I believe that the Steelers could pull off this game and do pretty well, especially just being in Pittsburgh and having their home opener. I don't see the Steelers being a franchise that starts off 0-2.
Yeah, exactly. What about you?
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you. I think the Steelers pull this one out at home. You can't play in Heinz Field without a chip on your shoulder and expect the Steelers to lose because they just got obliterated by the Patriots. And they're going to walk in there wanting to win this game. Juju's going to have a better game than he did because he really wasn't an X factor at all in that game. And I think that Ben's going to look for him a little bit more, and he's going to get off to a great start, Steelers.
Mm-hmm. And I have to agree with you guys also. I'm going to go with the Steelers in this one, mainly because, like you said, they're playing at home. They just lost their opener to New England, and I can't expect them to go 0-2, and especially the fact that Seattle did not look as good as we thought they would against Cincinnati this past week. So thirdly, 4 p.m. game between the Saints and the Rams. Rematch of the NFC Championship game. So who do you got?
This one's hard.
Yeah.
And I've been thinking about it, but I'm gonna have to go with the Saints after what happened to them. Mm-hmm. It's just as simple as they are not going to lose this game.
It's revenge, right?
Yeah, they're walking in there and they know this is their game, and that is it. I mean, seriously. So Saints, 100%.
What about you?
I totally agree with that. Even though it is in LA, I don't think that the Rams' offense and their team as a whole looked as good as it did last year, and the Saints are out for revenge. They're going to hold a grudge from that missed penalty last year in the NFC Championship, and I can just see them playing as hard as they can this game.
I have to agree with you guys also. I'm going to go with the Saints in this one, mainly because Alvin Kamara is the one running back they have right now in the backfield. And what I liked about last week's Monday night game against the Texans was I was watching that game, and Deshaun Watson went down and scored and took the lead by 1 with like 40 seconds to go. Right. And the Saints still ended up winning on a 58-yard field goal with the hefty leg of Will Lutz. And I have to say, Drew Brees knows how to win football games, and if it comes down to the last possession, like it most likely will between the Rams, I can't be surprised, or I won't be surprised if they win that game, so I'm going with them.
Right.
And finally, for a Sunday night game between the Atlanta Falcons and the Philadelphia Eagles, this one will be in Atlanta. I'll start with you, Juliana. Who's your take?
I'm going to go with the Eagles on this one. I feel like after last game and almost losing to the Redskins, I feel like they're going to want to show that they are the team that they have been the past 2 years, being able to make it to the playoff, win the Super Bowl 2 seasons ago. I feel like
they have high expectations right now for this season. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't.
No, that's it. Don't worry.
Cool. How about you, Connor?
Eagles as well. I don't think the Falcons are anything special. I think that Matt Ryan's underperforming, and I think the second half of that Redskins game for the Eagles, Carson Wentz was playing like he was the MVP, and I think if he continues to play like that, not utilizing Darren Sproles and keeping him as a kick returner at least, I think when he's in the backfield, he's going to slow him down. But other than that, I really think the Eagles will pull away from this game. I don't even think the Falcons have a shot, to be honest with you.
I'm going to have to change it up on you guys. I'm going to go with the Falcons this one. Mainly because the Eagles secondary did not look very good last week. Mainly because Case Keenum, he looked like Joe Montana out there against the Eagles defense. And with Matt Ryan being a MVP, he won a couple years ago. Yep. He's still that same caliber quarterback, and he has the weapons we talked about earlier, Julio Jones, Sanu, and Calvin Ridley. I have very good faith in the Falcons offense, especially being a home game. And they also lost to Minnesota. I just don't see them going 0-2. I think it might be a battle, but yeah, I'm going with Atlanta. All right, and that's all the time we have for today, guys. So thanks a lot for coming on the show today.
Thank you.
I hope to have you more. And more on sports next week in the locker room. We'll see you then. Thanks, guys.